This is the Cholo News Report for Sunday 05 November 2017. Houthi rebels in Yemen fire a ballistic missile at King Khalid International Airport in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The missile was shot down, according to Saudi officials, with no resulting injuries or damage. The missile was launched indiscriminately to target the civilian and populated areas, said Turki al-Maliki, a spokesman for the Saudi military coalition in Yemen. The Yemeni Defense Ministry has claimed several times to have fired a Burkan 2 missile at Saudi Arabia, which has acknowledged at least one previous strike. Videos from the scene showed people rushing to airport windows, smoke and what appeared to be flashes, or fires on the ground. Typhoon Damri kills at least 19 people in Vietnam, a week before the country is set to host APEC Vietnam 2017. Damri reached land at 4 a.m. with winds gusting at up to 90 km per hour, that damaged more than 40,000 homes, knocked down hundreds of electricity poles and uprooted trees. The Communist States Search and Rescue Committee said 22 people are missing after the storm, while 626 houses have been collapsed entirely. The city will host United States President Donald Trump from November 10th as well as China's Xi Jinping, Russia's Vladimir Putin and counterparts from other APEC members. The United States will end the so-called Temporary Protected Status Program. DHS is expected to make an announcement on November 6 to decide the fate of 57,000 Hondurans, about 50,000 Haitians, and 2,500 Nicaraguans, whose TPS status will expire in early January, the publication said. Even though many of them arrived in the U.S. illegally, TPS recipients were shielded from deportation. In the aftermath of Hurricane Mitch in 1998, that pummeled Central America, as well as the 2010 earthquake, that killed 200,000, in the Caribbean nation. Last month, Central American leaders and citizens said, they worried that economic and food insecurity issues in their countries could worsen, should the Trump administration decide to deport TPS recipients, the Miami Herald reported. An offer is made by New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern to resettle refugees stuck in the Manus Regional Processing Centre, but is rejected by Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull. The processing centre has triggered a humanitarian crisis for the refugees and protests in Australian cities. Hundreds of Australians protested on Saturday against the treatment of 600 refugees who are refusing to leave a former prison on Manus Island, for fear of being attacked by locals. In a crackdown against boat people arriving in the country, Australia set up prison camps in the Pacific Islands of Manus and Nauru in Papua New Guinea, nearly 5 years ago, to process asylum seekers. The Manus Island facility was decommissioned on Tuesday, but the 600 men there barricaded themselves in without food and water in defiance of Australian and PNG authorities. Mr. Turnbull and Ms. Ardern will meet for the first time in Sydney on Sunday, after the Kiwi leader stitched together a deal that saw her form a coalition government with New Zealand First and the Greens. I am looking forward to having a conversation directly with the Prime Minister on Sunday about some of those issues, and New Zealand's role in and view on Manus Island in particular, she said on Thursday.